3:12 a.m. 400 pounds of high explosives detonate against the hull of the Pacific Sentinel while transiting the northern Persian Gulf. Because water is physically incompressible, the peak pressure from the explosive mass does not escape into the atmosphere. Instead, it conducts the entirety of its energy directly into the ship's structural skeleton. Consequently, this kinetic hammer blow transforms the 900-foot reinforced steel mass into a giant iron bell, shattered structurally from the inside out. The impact forces the vessel, carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil, to list 5 degrees in just 90 seconds. However, the fire on the deck is merely a visual hook. The IRGC intends to use this detonation to bait American rescue fleets and Virginia-class nuclear-attack submarines into a high-threat environment, shallow waters measuring only 160 feet. In these shallows, the restricted water column and high ambient noise neutralize the acoustic stealth advantage of the U.S. Navy, converting these billion-dollar ghosts into target practice for the Yono-class midget submarine network waiting silently on the seafloor. 3:25 a.m. The counterstrike initiates not with a shockwave, but with a line of code. U.S. Cyber Command activates Protocol Black Horizon from a windowless facility in Maryland. This is a surgical operation on the enemy's nervous system, utilizing the frequency maps provided by the Sadiq network and deep access fiber taps managed by British GCHQ. The objective is simple: a digital lobotomy of the command center at Bandar Abbas. The engagement marks a shift from conventional jamming to algorithm hijacking. On the coast, the Mirage 4 radar arrays continue their sweep. Yet the signal processing software is now a prisoner of a ghost loop. The coalition has reprogrammed the enemy's internal logic to autonomously filter and delete any data points matching the specific Doppler shift of an F-35C Lightning II. To the Iranian operators, the displays remain serene, showing only civilian tankers and sea clutter. The radar is functioning at peak power, but it has been instructed to look right through the predator. The systemic shock propagates instantly as encrypted satellite links are terminated. Below the waves, the Yono-class midget submarines, the intended teeth of the Iranian trap, suddenly lose their digital connection. In the clinical reality of undersea warfare, a submarine that cannot receive command telemetry is a tactical zero. Disconnected and paralyzed, these assets are reduced to deaf iron hulls, drifting aimlessly in the dark silt of the shallow gulf, unable to find the trigger. Think of it like hacking a bank's security camera system to play a continuous loop of an empty hallway. While the bouncer radar stares at a peaceful screen, the executioners are already walking through the front door with the vault codes in hand. Physically, the Iranian wall remains standing. Digitally, its intelligence has been neutralized from within. 3:42 a.m. With the enemy's neural network effectively lobotomized by the preceding cyber intrusion, the U.S. Navy initiates a high-pressure audit of the adversary's mechanical reflexes. From the flight deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln, dozens of ADM-160 MALD decoys are catapulted into the Gulf's humid airspace. These 300-pound air-launched drones are not instruments of destruction, but masters of electromagnetic mimicry. Each unit carries a sophisticated signature augmentation system, capable of manipulating its own radar cross-section to manifest the digital ghost of a B-52 Stratofortress or a high-energy flight of F-15 Strike Eagles. The objective is to flood the enemy's search arrays with a manufactured apocalypse, forcing a response from a system that can no longer distinguish signal from noise. Deep within the command bunkers near Bandar Abbas, IRGC commanders fall into a state of total algorithmic panic. Struggling with glitchy communications and severed satellite links, they stare at tactical displays showing a massive, multi-axis strike package closing in on the coastline. They commit the ultimate systemic error. They prioritize the illusion over the reality. In a desperate attempt to preserve their infrastructure, the order to engage is transmitted. Along the coastal cliffs of the Zagros Mountains, the massive concrete doors of hidden spider holes swing open. Over 40 Syad-4 interceptors roar into the night sky, their solid fuel boosters carving white scars against the darkness as they accelerate to Mach 6 in pursuit of plastic and composite shadows. This is not a traditional engagement of attrition. It is a clinical demonstration of kinetic insolvency. The Syad-4 is a sophisticated $2 million interceptor, a gold-plated variable in Tehran's defensive equation. Tonight, These assets are being expended against $120,000 decoys with zero return on investment. In a frantic 20-minute window, the IRGC burns through nearly $100 million of its premier air defense magazine to achieve exactly 0 tactical kills. Think of the Iranian air defense network as a thirsty gambler in a high-stakes casino, desperately wagering gold bars to win back plastic chips in a game they were never programmed to survive. As the interceptor magazines reach absolute zero, the titanium bear trap that Tehran spent decades fortifying is stripped of its teeth. It is no longer a forbidden fortress. It is merely a collection of expensive hollow canisters and unguided scrap metal. 4:03 a.m. The electromagnetic environment over the Strait of Hormuz undergoes a violent artificial distortion. 2 EA-18G Growlers, having launched from the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln, establish an orbit 50 nautical miles off the Iranian coastline. These aircraft do not carry conventional high explosives as their primary payload. Their main battery is the ALQ-249 Next Generation Jammer, NGJ. Unlike legacy radio frequency transmitters, the ALQ-249 is a directed energy weapon, utilizing active electronically scanned array AESA technology to manipulate the very fabric of the spectrum. The technical engagement begins with a surgical saturation of the adversary's vision. The Growlers focus high-energy streams of white noise directly onto the Mirage 4 radar arrays, the primary eyes of the Iranian Bavar 373 complex. On the displays of the IRGC operators, all tactical data altitudes, vectors, and identification codes instantly vanishes. It is replaced by a blinding, featureless glare. To the human eye, it is equivalent to attempting to navigate a vehicle through a storm-shattered windshield while a million candle-power spotlight is focused directly into your retinas. The operators are forced into a fatal procedural error. They attempt a burn-through maneuver, spiking their transmission power to overcome the interference. This spike in energy is the trigger. By increasing their output, the Mirage 4 radars inadvertently transform themselves into the brightest electronic beacons in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. Navy responds with the clinical release of the AGM-88G AARGMER, traveling at velocities exceeding Mach 2 with a range of over 120 nautical miles. The AGM-88G is not merely a missile. It is an algorithmic predator designed to solve a zero-solution equation. The missile's internal logic gates process the target through a triple-mode seeker system, creating a tactical deadlock for the defender. Mode 1. Passive homing. If the Iranian operator keeps the radar active to search for a lock, the AGM-88G smells the emission and flies directly down the throat of the antenna array. Impact occurs within 90 seconds. Mode 2 GPS, INS memory. If the operator recognizes the threat and hoarsely orders the system to shut down, the missile does not lose its target. Its internal brain utilizes GPS-assisted inertial navigation to remember the exact geospatial coordinates of the source, continuing its Mach 2 flight with sub-meter precision. Mode 3. Active millimeter wave. In the terminal mile of flight, the AGM-88G activates its own miniature internal radar. It scans the terrain for the specific physical geometry of a radar truck or antenna array. Whether the target is emitting or silent, moving or stationary, the hardware is identified and categorized for execution. The result is a masterclass in systemic erasure. 8 fire control radar units, the entire sensory cortex of the regional air defense network, are liquidated in a synchronized chain of explosions spanning less than 90 seconds. Without these sensors, the multi-million-dollar Syad missile batteries and short-range SHORAD units are rendered tactically irrelevant. They are blind, deaf, and incapable of establishing a fire control lock. The Forbidden Fortress has effectively suffered a systemic stroke. The wall remains, but the brain is dead, and the hardware is now merely industrial scrap awaiting a final subterranean audit. 4:32 a.m. With the enemy's air defense grid officially lobotomized by the preceding cyber and electronic interventions, the U.S. Navy initiates the rhythm of pure physical destruction. The strategic guided missile submarine USS West Virginia, SSGN, lurking in safe deep waters offshore, executes an industrial-scale subterranean audit. 80 Tomahawk Block, 5 cruise missiles depart the VLS cells in a continuous, precise sequence of fire. The technical execution is a masterclass in low observable penetration. These Tomahawks do not fly high for a show of force. They maintain sea-skimming trajectories at an altitude of just 30 meters. utilizing the Earth's curvature and complex terrain to completely mask their radar signatures. Powered by real-time coordinate data from the Sadiq network, the missile's DSMAC algorithms do not target the peaks of the Zagros Mountains, but dive directly into the geometric centers of the ventilation shafts. This is the critical vulnerability in Iran's subterranean architecture. 81,000-pound warheads simultaneously penetrate the air filtration systems, transforming the Noor and Qatar missile storage facilities into permanently sealed concrete tombs before they can even be fueled for launch. While Tomahawks erase coastal targets, the Iraqi military activates the surgical scalpel, the M142 HIMARS, positioned along the border. GMLRS alternative warhead rounds are launched, carrying payloads of 182,000 preformed tungsten fragments. The target is not human personnel, but the mobile relay towers, the IRGC's sole remaining communication organs. By shredding the relay towers, the HIMARS have officially unchained the hounds. Dozens of Iranian suicide boats offshore abruptly lose real-time data links, transforming into electronic zombies circling aimlessly on the surface, completely stripped of tactical orientation and targeting capability. 6:02 a.m. dawn breaks over the Persian Gulf, bringing with it a final desperate counterattack from the Iranian regular military, Artesh. A volley of Fateh 110 tactical ballistic missiles is launched from mobile platforms deep inland, vectored directly toward the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Fateh 110, traveling at Mach 4, is Tehran's final attempt at a face-saving variable in this combat equation. Aboard the destroyer USS Preble, the Aegis combat system detects the launch's thermal signature within 3 seconds of ignition. The central computer takes exactly 3 more seconds to solve the ballistic trajectory equation and issue a death sentence. 2 SM-6 interceptors roar into the dawn sky with mechanical rhythm. Unlike conventional chemical explosions, the SM-6 performs a kinetic kill in the target's terminal phase. At an altitude of 15 miles, 2 masses of steel collide with a closing velocity of Mach 8. At this hypersonic speed, the law of conservation of energy transforms the collision into a pure physical explosion. The entirety of the Iranian warheads is instantly vaporized into fine dust without a single microgram of American explosives needing to detonate. Now, if you want to continue following the strategic strikes of Operation Epic Fury, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Goodbye.